Hello there, Pursuing Freedom friends. Thanks as always for being with us today. I'm so glad you're tuning in today because I've got a great episode here with Kristin McFeely from my hometown in the outskirts of Philadelphia. She is one of the pioneers of Compass in Philadelphia, and she's been in real estate since 2005. She's got a great business, a great team. Her business is all referral and review based. So we're going to dig into how she built her successful referral business. And she also owns a staging company that's actually blowing up in the Philadelphia area. So she is not a bored lady. She is doing some amazing things. And I'm excited for her to share her story with us today. So with no further ado, Kristin, go ahead and tell us a little bit about you and your story and how you have arrived at where you're at today. And we will just jump right in.
Sure. Hi. So my name is Kristin McFeely. I have a team called the Philadelphia Home Collective, and I have a staging company actually called the Philadelphia Design Collective. I have been in real estate since 2005. I started off at a little independent brokerage for about 3 years. Then I moved over to Coldwell Banker, was at Coldwell for 10 years. And then most recently, in June of 2018, moved over to Compass. We were their founding team, their founding agents in Compass. We probably got them to move over a little sooner than they really wanted to move over, but the timing worked for us. So, and love it. Yeah, I'm really happy. I made the best move, and just really excited. I have a team of 14. I have myself. I have a business partner who is kind of head up operations and agent training. We have a transaction manager and a marketing manager as well. And that's the structure.
Awesome. So one thing I want to ask you about is before we started recording, you mentioned that you started in a small boutique company down in South Philadelphia, and you're currently in Chestnut Hill, which is sort of west of Philadelphia. So when did you make that geographic move? How far into your career did you move your business from South Philly to where you are today?
Well, I'm actually in Center City. So my office is at 1601 Market Street in Center City, Philadelphia, in Rittenhouse. We have a satellite office in Chestnut Hill, which is where I live. So that makes it convenient. But most of the time I'm working out of the Center City office, the Rittenhouse office. That's where my team lives. That's where most of my business is. So yeah, I started off in South Philly because I bought my first house in 2003. I was working at an architecture firm. They had a bunch of layoffs. I was doing marketing for them, got laid off. And in the meantime thought, I just bought a house. Maybe I'll get my real estate license. I reached out to the broker that I used when I bought my home, because he's all I knew. And I asked if I could talk to him a little bit about getting my license. And he said, absolutely. And when you get your license, you have a job. And of course I'm thinking, oh, that's amazing. Not realizing that every real estate company wants you to work for them. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have a job already. This is great. So I didn't interview. I didn't do any due diligence. I just went right to work for him. And it was great. I learned a lot. But all of the business was in South Philadelphia, which is where I lived. I could walk to the office, was perfect. And at that time in 2005, in those neighborhoods, the average price point was around $100,000. So, I was kind of off to the races. I think that I was successful that year, but certainly not really bringing in a lot of money just because it wasn't, the price point was so low. So I stayed there for 3 years. They had some kind of like managerial changes, which led me to seek out something else. And also I just wanted to change my marketplace. I wanted to be more in Center City. And then interviewed with a bunch of different brokerages and fell in love with Coldwell Banker in Old City and was there for 10 years. And I really loved working there.
So I think this is really interesting. How did you make the transition from sort of being the agent, handling only the $100,000 deals or whatever, which is kind of typical for a newer agent? What did it look like for you to make that transition into a higher priced market? Did you change your marketing, your branding, your messaging, or did it just happen organically because you placed yourself in that geographic region?
Well, I think a little bit of both. I mean, marketing has always been my strong point. That's actually what is intriguing to me about real estate. I love the idea of coming up with interesting ways to market homes, even to work with buyers and market buyers. I love event planning. So all of that I kind of already had in previous job experiences, and just, I went to art school. So all of that kind of just came with me into real estate. So I think it was sort of already there. I think my marketing was at maybe a little bit of a different level than my counterparts in my first office. So when I came to Coldwell, I felt like I was kind of I already fit in a little bit. In terms of price point, I think it was just, I don't know. I don't know exactly. I mean, I think it was, working with a lot of friends, watching, like, they sort of had purchased maybe their first home, and then they were on to their second by that time and came back around to me. And at that point, the price point was a little higher. So it all just kind of happened organically. I will say that when I was at Coldwell, my manager, who is now my business partner, his name is Dan, was really crucial in saying to me, like, look at these other people. They can do it. You can do it too. Don't feel like you came in with, at such a, in a different place, and you can't compete with the people that are here in this office. So he really gave me a big push, and really encouraged me to just go for it, which is what I did.
So it sounds like, because you came from marketing, you mentioned, and you said that you really enjoy event planning and whatnot. Do you feel like from an early point in your career, you were able to leverage the things that bring you joy, and then the business kind of grew? I wouldn't say organically, because you were working your butt off, but would you say that there was a benefit to staying in your lane in terms of what your natural gifts are and just doing what you really enjoy, so that it didn't feel like a grind and you got results?
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's how I stay motivated, by doing, anything creative, anything design oriented, anything marketing, events, which is why I've always been really strategic in kind of pairing up with someone who has the opposite mindset, who's more operational and more, numbers driven, I guess. So I've always kind of stayed in my lane. And that does make work enjoyable. And I think that if you're good at something, just keep going with it and elevate that, and you only get better at it. So, I find a lot. I mean, I hustle, I work really, really hard, but I enjoy it because I'm doing really what I want to be doing.
Awesome. So let's dig in a little bit. So what did it look like for you, marketing wise, to get your business off the ground? I mean, you grew a team pretty quickly. So I imagine you were having success from a numbers perspective to be attracting people that wanted to be a part of what you were doing. What did it look like for you when you were launching your business, when it came to marketing?
Well, I think we bought into social media pretty early. That was one thing that was kind of interesting. I think that just Facebook marketing, and they used to. We actually got a front page of the Philadelphia Inquirer in the real estate section about selling. This was like in 2008, I guess, for selling real estate using social media, which was pretty early on. We utilized that. We saw the benefit to getting the word out that way. I think our marketing had a different look. It was, even though we were working for a very big corporate company, our stuff did not look corporate. We were very intent from the beginning on focusing on our communities and our neighborhoods. So everything had a bit of a I don't even know how to describe it, but it just had a less generic look than I think a lot of marketing that you see out for real estate. We never used stock photos and, of people, and we wanted to take photos of our own folks. So early on, we would hire photographers to go out and shoot the neighborhoods that we sold in, so that we could do blog posts and legitimately use photos from the neighborhood and not go to Getty Images. And we did that with our clients. We would go and photograph them, either if they're sellers, we would photograph them to tell their story about why they're moving and what their motivations were and what they love so much about their home and what they'll miss. And then for buyers, we would go back and photograph them after they've moved in to see what they've done. And we share these stories. So I think storytelling for me was always a differentiator. Now that's kind of a buzzword and everyone uses it. But I think the ability to tell stories and to share those early on, when most people were not doing it, I think that's what made us different, because everyone who reached out, we never recruited agents for the team, and anyone who reached out to us who wanted to be on the team saw us as doing something different. I think it was less about numbers and how much we were in top this and top that. I think it was more like, they look like they're having fun. They really look like they're enjoying this. I want to be a part of it.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
it's amazing that you say that about the storytelling, because I do think it's so important, because a lot of people are just posting things on social media that are just pictures of houses saying just sold, just listed,
Yeah.
but there's no emotional response for the person who's viewing that particular content. We just see a
Yeah.
picture of a house. We don't feel any kind of emotion associated with the people and the story of who bought the house or who sold the house and why. I think that's really smart, and it's still important, even though, like you said, it's become a buzzword. It's still very important in the way that you create content and you present yourself as the problem solver or the dream builder or whatever the case might be.
Yeah. And I think there's subtle ways to do it. I mean, even with, and that kind of parlayed actually into staging, because it again was like an extension of telling that story. So, when I meet with sellers and they ask me what do I need to do for my home to get it ready for market? Do I need to take down every family photo? Do I need to deconstruct the nursery and make it look like something else? I always say no. I mean, you obviously, to a limit. There's a limit there. But you want people buy based on emotion. So you want someone to walk in and feel a connection. I've had people walk into, just recently, I had someone walk into a home where the nursery was decorated and it said, the kid's name was Jackson, Jaxon, which is, I guess, unusual. And my clients had a child named Jackson. And when they walked in, they said, "Oh my gosh, this is our home." I mean, it could be something that simple. It sounds silly, but it could be something that simple where having a little bit of a personal touch. I mean, when you work, and I think that's also an advantage to being both a listing agent and a buyer's agent. I do both when I'm working with, because you see both perspectives. So when you're walking into a home with buyers, the first thing they do is kind of nose around and want to know why these people are moving. If the house is great, they want to know what the story is. So to be able to share something from the sellers to the buyers, share that story, I think is really important. And how staging kind of parlayed into that is, I think our staging is quite different than other stagers out there as well, because we want to show personality. We kind of stage the home based on the neighborhood that it's in and who we think the prospective buyer can be. And we want to make it fun. So we want people to come in and really envision themselves being there and telling that story.
Well, it sounds like you put a lot of thought into all of this, which I think is impressive. And there's also, you mentioned the personal touch. And so one question I have for you is, we all know that we're in a relationship business. It's about making human connection, and everything that you just alluded to demonstrates that you clearly do that with a level of expertise, but also a lot of intention and thoughtfulness that goes into that. How do you organize yourself when you're spinning so many plates? Like, you're wearing a lot of hats. You have a staging business, you have a team, you have clearly a very well thought out marketing approach, and also personal touch with your clients. So how do you map out your day, your week, such that you can accomplish everything you set out to and still be having fun in the journey, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. I will say that my real estate sales business, I am at this stage, I've been in the business now almost 15 years. At this stage, I'm able to be a little more selective with the clients that I'm working with. So price point is up, but numbers are down, like fewer people that I'm working with, fewer units, which gives me a little bit more time in that respect. I will say we're still working through the kinks on the staging part, that we're only a year and a half old, and it blew up. It got really, really busy unexpectedly. We actually won Best of Philly last year. So after that happened, it blew up. Also, Compass, kind of on a side note, Compass has a program called Compass Concierge, where you probably hear that they will front money for staging and repairs and things like that. So we are now working with so many Compass agents because everyone's taking advantage of this great program. So staging is busy, and I have not completely wrapped my head around how to organize it. We're still working through that. I think we really do need to hire someone to help, to be on more of the admin warehouse managing side. I also, on my team side, hired a marketing manager, Mackenzie, who's fantastic. She's wonderful. So she and I work very closely together, but I can hand things off to her very easily now. We've been working together for a while where she can just kind of pick it up and carry out that vision. So she's been great too. So I have help. I guess that's the answer. I have help.
Yeah. Well, that's important.
And I know my strengths and I know where I don't go too.
But when you were in the building phase leading up to where you're at now, which is where you clearly need to subtract in order to stay sane. But as you were building it out and, you talked about event planning, you talked about social media. Are you someone who's good at sort of scheduling that into your week? Or do you just kind of realize it's 2:00 and you haven't done a social media post, so you quick throw something up? Or are you someone who's like, all right, I'm going to organize all my social media on this day of the week or this day of the month? Or do you have a more structured approach to making sure that it all gets done? Because, it's easier said than done to say we do a lot of events, like that's no big deal. But I think I intend to do events, and then suddenly it's October and only one of the 4 events got done. So how do how do you organize it to make sure that all the things that make an impact on your business actually get accomplished?
Yeah. So Mackenzie and I definitely have a marketing calendar. So we do quarterly events in various neighborhoods. We do neighborhood happy hour basically. And what we do is it's like a meet your neighbor. So if it's in, for example, Fishtown, which is a neighborhood in Philadelphia, we'll invite all of our Fishtown folks, buyers and sellers, especially buyers. And then we'll do a little open bar kind of happy hour so that they can meet their neighbors. And again, the idea behind it is it's client appreciation, but it's doing something for them. So it's allowing them to meet their neighbors. It's not about give me a referral because I'm inviting you to a happy hour.
Right.
We're doing something. We always take ourselves we try very hard to always take ourselves out of the equation and make it about the client. And so I think that is one of the main, that's one of the main things. So those are all scheduled out for the year. We have a big event, which I was mentioning to you before, is our holiday hangover party, which always takes place in January instead of December when everybody else is having their holiday party. We try to do something where everybody can just calm down and actually come to the party because the craziness is over. So those things are scheduled. They're in the calendar. They're scheduled well in advance. In terms of social media, I don't want it to be so, we have a very loose calendar. Mackenzie has a very loose kind of schedule for a listing, what things need to be done on what day, in terms of posting. But I want it to be a little bit more organic. I don't want it to be like, oh, it's Tuesday again, here's that post that they always do. I have a personal page as well, and accounts, both Facebook and Instagram, as well as our business. And we try to make it fun. We do some different and fun things, and we fly by the seat of our pants a little bit, I would say, with social media. I don't want it to be too structured, but we certainly have a marketing calendar in place.
Awesome. So not to get too technical, but I'm just curious, what does it look like? Your business is primarily referral based, and so is the business of all the agents on your team. So are you all operating with a similar game plan of what does your follow-up process look like after someone closes? Do you have anything that you do specifically from the contract to closing process that's a value add that helps to build that trust and that referral business organically?
Yeah. So we have, as I mentioned, we have Mackenzie who does marketing, and we have Sean who is our transaction manager. So once we go under contract, Sean kind of helps us run it through to closing. He's constantly in touch with them. He has a checklist of things that he's doing. He is checking in with them all the time, as well as, the agent, of course, is as well. Once they have closed, we kind of have an email where we'll ask them maybe for a review, but we'll give them some resources. We'll tell them that they're always on our VIP list, so that we have resources for them. Certainly if they need anything like, a contractor or plumber or anything like that post-closing, we're there for them. And then they're on our list for all of our events that we do. And they, a lot of times, really, really like that. They're on our mailing list, of course, for any piece of mail that we would drop off to them. We do, several times a year, we do pop buys, usually leading up to an event. So we'll drop off a little something to everyone. There's once I tell people at the buyer consult, this is not just a transaction. You're going to hear from me for a long time, whether you like it or not. And they're usually okay with it. They're fine. So I never, ask for the referral. I feel like it's just as long as you stay in touch with them and you stay in front of them, you are top of mind to them. Of course, we have like an email newsletter that goes out, and all of those kind of drip things that they receive as well.
Yeah, well, that's huge. I mean, but it's easier said than done for a lot of people, because you say just stay in front of them after closing, and then you'll be top of mind. And I can't tell you how many agents I know that are not consistently doing that. And so, I've shared this before, but we did a little experiment last year where we wanted to increase our repeat and referral business as a lender, intentionally staying in front of our own database rather than just reaching out to real estate agents. And our repeat and referral business from past client went up from 22% to 50% in a matter of 4 months. And only 50% of our repeat clients were working with the same agent again, which was a really scary
thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's scary.
But it sounds like, a big part of this story is we. It's not I, because
right, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what advice do you have to somebody who has that fear of either bringing somebody on from the fear of the expense, or bringing somebody on for the fear that would dilute the level of service they provide?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, well, part of it is just authenticity, which is another horrible buzzword that everybody uses. But I think being really authentic to who you are and not trying to go into a lane that's not your own. In being authentic, things to keep up with folks would be like, you see they've had a baby, because now on Facebook you can kind of see everything that's happening. So you see they've had a baby. We have like a little branded onesie that we'll send over in a nice little package with a card. You see that they are, a lot of times we're invited to their housewarming parties. That's a great opportunity. Just anything that we see that's happening in their lives. We have a whole stack of really fun and funny, like follow-up cards and little things, just thinking of you and stuff like that we send just when we're thinking of people, just so that we're staying top of mind, but we're being authentic about what's going on in their lives. We care about what's happening with them. So when I bring on, an agent to the team, or if I even pass a lead on to a team member, I want them to just come back to the team. I don't really care if they're coming back to me or if they're coming back to, Sheena on my team. I really want them to just come back to the team and know that we as a team will do right by them. We'll do well by them.
Well, I think it's amazing, because I think what it boils down to is that, and obviously this isn't the plan for everybody, but what it sounds like you've experienced, and I also have experience with having a team, is that we have a lot of ideas, but there's a limit to the number of hours in a day. And I have found that the consistency of the delivery of whatever we intend to do with our business, whether that be follow-up, whether that be updates throughout the process, or whether it be, marketing, birthdays, the consistency comes as a result of having the right amount of help, because you can't nobody is humanly capable of doing all the things you've alluded to as a one-man band and doing it consistently. So I feel like you can deliver a more consistent and comprehensive level of service on a high level doing what you've done there. You've got somebody helping with your marketing to make sure that it's on the calendar and it's executed. You've got somebody helping with the ops. You've got some, it sounds to me like the we piece of it is a huge piece of the success of the consistency of the delivery.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, our motto always, even with my former team that I used to run, was always, as I mentioned before, it's not about us. No one cares about awards we've won. No one cares about where we're ranked. It's about the client. It's about sharing the story. So as long as you always have that in your mind, that's your goal, is to share the story of the client or the home. Maybe it's the home. Maybe the home has a really cool story. In places like Chestnut Hill, those homes have amazing stories. So as long as you're thinking about it that way, then I think it naturally just progresses into people feeling like you're genuine, people feeling like they want to work with you.
The other cool thing is that you've taken something that you really enjoy, which are the events. And by making that the rocks, in your calendar, like the rocks that they're set in stone for the year, they're in there. And by default, you have to create energy around those events. So you have to reach out to people and invite them and follow up with them. And then you take the photos and then you have more follow up and then you have social media. So like that one thing can be the one thing for you. And that could be enough to keep you in front of your people. And not everybody needs to be doing events, but everybody needs to figure out how to hone in on what they really enjoy and what they're good at.
Yeah.
And create energy around that. And then the business comes almost as a flow and less of a grind, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And things can even come from doing an event. So like, for example, if you're just doing a simple happy hour, you would maybe do a pop by on your, so for for example, our holiday hangover party, we do pop bys that have little like airplane bottle Bloody Mary mix and little can of tomato juice and a little thing of vodka and like a little note inside. And we drop off these little bags to everyone and we invite them to the party. From that, and sometimes we've done it where we've used something that a craftsperson has actually made, like someone local has made that we'll buy and use as the pop by. From that, we have a party. We always use a local printer. So we have a printer who has actually given us business. I actually sold a house to the person who ran the printing company because we use them. We then will do the happy hour or the event at a bar. We'll do a give back kind of thing with the bar. Well, maybe we'll do a story on them. So if you look at our website, we have both home stories, which are the stories of our clients. And then we also have maker stories, which are stories of small businesses in the neighborhood. So we'll do like a little kind of a trade sort of with them. So from that, we're gaining their trust, the small business, the bar, restaurant or whatever, they're gaining their trust. I've sold homes to restaurant folks, waitresses and waiters and bar backs and bartenders. And it's just amazing how like each little thing you do, if you're really specific and conscious about it, you can lead to more business, but just because you're being genuine and helpful and trying to do something good, not because you're asking someone, oh, by the way, did you know I'm in real estate? Do you know anybody looking to buy or sell a home?
Yeah.
So all those little things kind of work for us. So it's not just a one shot. And as you mentioned, the whole idea of, you have the event, you have the pop by. So then, of course, all of your clients were receiving the pop by or Instagramming it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe my realtor sent me this. How cute is this? So that's all over Instagram. Then you have the event itself. The invite is maybe posted several places. Then after the event, we always have a photographer come to the event who we pay to shoot the event, and then photos go out. On our big holiday event, we actually do kind of like professional portrait sort of style photos, and we'll actually give those as a gift. We'll frame them and give them as a gift to our clients who came. So they're getting a little gift from us. And of course, it's just branded a little bit at the bottom so they remember where it came from. But all of those little touches, which actually help and are exciting for them, are things that ultimately grow the business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it comes down to one thing. It's very thoughtful. It's very enjoyable. It's very genuine. And, there's clearly some organization and discipline in the execution of all of this. So, but I think that the biggest takeaway for the listeners is just that it sounds joyful to me. Like if you're listening on the podcast, while you're driving right now, I was just smiling as you were talking about the little Bloody Mary mix and for the hangover party. I'm like, it's just so cute. And who's not going to have a happy face and have a happy feeling when they're a recipient of all of that love and detail? And it's all just like, it makes people feel good. And when they feel good about you, they're going to want to reciprocate. It's just the law of reciprocity. So yeah, well, I commend you because it sounds like you're really enjoying the journey 15 years in, and you're always creating, which means that it just never gets boring, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing this. I feel like the listeners could take away a lot of little nuggets there that they can implement. And, if somebody's just getting started and they're hearing this, it can sound like a lot, but I mean, this is 15 years of building on what works. And so figure out the one thing that you can implement this week, this month, this year, and just build on it little by little until you get to a place where you have this robust operation, which is totally amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you being on the show. And listen, everybody, you know what I'm going to ask you if you've ever listened to this podcast before, because we're trying to get to 100 reviews And if we're not there yet, and you scroll down onto wherever you're consuming this content and you can find 5 stars, obviously 5, and the little pencil, write a little review, show us some love, because we are trying to attract great guests like Kristin all the time and bring you this content to help you on your journey. As always, I love and appreciate you. Make it an awesome day.